Hi, this is Sam Ritchie. I'm out here today to check out the area basically. We've had a couple of snows and it snowed last night, so I'm basically looking for tracks because they would be there aren't any human tracks other than mine coming up here, and just come across there's a trail up ahead that Sasquatch usually use. And if you notice here, other than mine right here, there's some that are definitely, let me try to zoom in here, they're definitely showing up here with the snow missing, and it seems to be tracked along here and then kind of heads off in this direction a little bit, so I'm just going to kind of follow through on it. Part of it's actually dug into the ground a little bit underneath the snow. Not dismissing the fact that there's elk out here, because I saw a couple of elk out here yesterday, and the only remarkable thing about that is the two elk that were snapping branches that I saw take up the trail. I saw two extremely fast gray creatures moving. Don't know what they were, but it looked like they were traveling a good pace, almost 35-40 miles an hour, right across the trail, almost like a blur. So two gray creatures of some sort, to the point couldn't even see them. It was how fast it was. All I saw was just the marks of them going across, and then next thing I heard is I heard the elk kind of screeching a little bit. So I wasn't about to walk up any further to see what that was all about. But anyway, starting to rain a little bit. I had to pull my poncho up here. But so I saw a track up here yesterday, or a couple of days ago. That was pretty good actually. It had the toe marks and everything. I'll probably show that on video. As you can see here, the impressions here, they go into this area. They dig in kind of deep, so they just stop. Now I'm thinking maybe it's just a elk, perhaps. I'm actually heading up to the gifting area up ahead that I usually leave things. I left some little snacks for Christmas Day when I came out here, and I have a couple of pictures of that. They did, of course, disappear, and the paper was neatly rolled up and put to the side, and one of the pieces of wood that was there was moved. Now here is something that we've seen here. I know Barb has talked about it, but there's a stick that was actually put in the ground by the Sasquatch. Nobody else apparently would have done that. Nobody ever goes up this particular trail either. So this is a very muddy terrain that goes up here, and the rain's picking up now. It's turning into ice particles. So, which is good for the mountain. Helps the ski resort area stay open. Keeps the economy flowing. As you can tell, this trail through here, that's very well trodden up the pathway. This is actually the one where the Sasquatches generally go up and down. And here we go. First you got the usual elk pattern. Elks use it too. So this looks fairly fresh, so the elk had been here recently. I knew they were here just yesterday because I was up here. Alright. And saw them go up the hill. We're not really far from the place where I saw the large squatch either. That was just right around the corner. Actually, this is along this trail. If I go up here another 200 feet, it's going to be right in the position he was actually standing in, looking between those two trees. And this path is so used so much that by them that trying to find a single mark or a single footprints next to impossible because of that, because they just walk over all over it. There's also an upper trail up here that they use. Where that stump is, that's where the gifting area is that I use occasionally to leave things on that top of that knob or just below it. And they do pick things up there too. And straight up the hill here is where I found a couple of peanut butter jar lids. A couple of red ones straight up the top of that ridge. That ridge right up there is very difficult to get to from both sides. Perfect place for them to hang out and overlook this whole valley down here. So this is kind of up here on top of this ridge, actually around the other side of this, where I saw the picture of the young Squatch sitting that was actually holding a jar. So I believe there's usually a place where they set it right at the top of that, and they don't have to worry about anybody seeing them from up there. You usually don't, and even if someone saw them, there's no way that anybody could get to them because they'd be out of there just as quick as they were up there. So anyway, we're going to look around a little bit. I'll be back on in a second. Yeah, I had to make a comment about this particular. Let me pull this zoom out. Show this bottom part here. This is pretty swampy stuff through here, and this is. I tried to walk down here a couple of times. It's almost like quicksand, so your feet just go right down in the mud at least 8 inches. So not a good place to be walking around. However, there are a lot of stick structures that are back through here, and not only back in there, all around this spot here, and especially up here. This is where I've seen several of them. Let me go ahead and walk over by them. I don't see any of their parent tracks today. This little area. I just want to show you this. So, looks like they keep adding wood to it too. Almost like a cluster. Things don't drop like that. Maybe the trees drop, but if you notice all the wood that's piled up on top of that, that normally wouldn't be the case. Okay, same goes for limbs laying against the tree, things like that. And the way sticks are sometimes crisscrossed too is just not done naturally. That's something that you can easily tell. Okay, I'm going to try to go back over here. I'm going to try to videotape the place where I saw the Squatch sitting. And go back up here. This is where it was. I'm kind of, yeah, right about here. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can probably see. Oh, it looks like there's been a couple of tracks here too. Someone's been walking around here. Okay, right about here. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. And as you can tell, getting up close to there, right about there in the middle of that, is a place where they can sit. And right at the top of that. So more than likely that's where my Squatch was sitting. The one holding the jar was not so much in the tree as it was just sitting on top of the hill. They're pretty steep there too. I climbed up that particular hill a couple of weeks ago, and it was pretty tough getting to the top of it. Here's a way to go all the way around the trail and back up along that ridge, but it's pretty steep on both sides. So, and here's some more examples of the stick structures. Not only here, I just showed you. Let me zoom back out. Have that, and then we have some of the fallen wood, but also some stick structures that are on in through here. So the key is to try to figure out why they do it. You have to study that a little bit further. There's a reason for everything. People just don't go, or the Sasquatch just don't throw sticks together just to be doing it. I think part of it has to do with nesting, creating a nesting or safe haven for the young ones. The second one is when stick structures are put not so much in a cluster like that, but in certain patterns like the X's and the diamond shape. Those are symbols. Those are signs to let them know a particular action, that they've either been there or not to go past this point, or welcoming other squatches. This is a direction, kind of like a directional sign. And it's hard to say. Also, I've noticed looking on the trail, like on the ground, walking paths, sometimes I actually see sticks laying on the ground that are arranged. The problem is being perceptive enough to notice that every day and to see if anything changes. Of course, people who walk on a trail are going to step on sticks and move them out of the way anyway. But it's something worth looking into and studying further. This root wad here, I'm coming to a conclusion about a few things with the young. I had a picture taken of one extremely giant old growth tree trunk that's long gone, but underneath it was actually hollow in the inside, so a perfect hiding spot for the squatches. This is looks like an original growth, old growth tree trunk. Here, stump. And I looked at it a little bit closer. If you look at it, aside from dirt that's around the bottom of it, if you actually look inside, you can actually see it's hollow. Let's see if I can't turn this. Yeah, kind of zoom in on this. It is completely hollow on the inside of that. Not only is it probably hollow underneath the wood and it's hewn out in the inside, no way of knowing if this actually goes down into the ground at that point. So there's an opening there. A couple of places here actually. Just like a cave. If you go around to the other side, and go all the way around this. This is almost like an island to itself, because not only is you got other trees that are still growing on top of it, just like all over it. Okay, here's a open area through there. Just going all the way around here. Seeing what we got here. Okay. Alright. Not too much on this side. I would say most of that was on the back side of that. Yeah. So I've seen a couple of things back here. It's a great hiding spot too, of course, as big as it is. I actually have a really tall squatch just actually hide behind this stump. It's because the trail, the main human trail, is actually facing it from the back side. So yeah, I have to say that especially in the last couple of weeks, it's been pretty quiet in this area. And not really a lot of activity. It's occasional. And they were out here the first snow that we had November 30th, and this is one of their more popular areas, is right in this little spot that I usually go to. They were here in plentifully back in August and September and October. So of course, when it's springtime, when it's summer, you got all the vegetation completely surrounding this area. And the idea, I think, is if you're trying to remain stealth, you take advantage of the vegetation and you're able to move in closer to trails and to people without being seen. Wintertime's a different story. There's no vegetation other than the tree trunks to hide behind, so the idea is you had to go back further into the darker shadows of the trees, or you had to hunker down closer to the ground and try to blend in from the ground up. So but I do feel that they're busy in the wintertime. I have a feeling about the they tend to hunt the elk more so in the winter because they don't have access to the food as much in the winter time. And elk are extremely plentiful up here. They walk around my yard all the time, and so there's no problem with getting food that way at all. Therefore, the laws actually prevent us as humans from actually shooting very many of them and all without getting a tag permit or something like that. But they're not under our law, so they can take anything they want. And that's just the part of their society.